Hello, hello, and welcome to DAOC Palace. Good afternoon. I hope you're all doing well out there. Today's Friday, the 28th of February, and today it is my reaction to Laura Kaminski. She has departed, has been the manager of Crystal Palace, and a little bit sad about it. A little bit is an understatement. But it's my reaction to it, and hope you enjoy it. But if you're new to the channel, please hit a like and subscribe at DAOC Palace. If you're new, please hit like. First of all, I'm going to break it down like into three sections. I think it's best to do it. What I think about Laura Kaminski, the football club, and also my perspective as a football fan looking at it, I suppose. First of all, with Laura Kaminski, when I heard the news, my first reaction was I hope Laura Kaminski is well, is okay. It's a very difficult day, I expect, for Laura Kaminski, for all the coaching staff that has been working with her at Crystal Palace, no doubt, to all the staff at Crystal Palace, and to the Crystal Palace players that are in training with the current squad, because we've got Liverpool at the weekend, and we do have had players away on international duty as well, and so it I hope they're all doing well. So the first reaction was I hope Laura Kaminski is fine as well. On a very difficult day, I expect, for her, and for all the Crystal Palace women players, and also to mention the Crystal Palace women players that left just before the beginning of the Barclays Women's Super League this season, who've gone to other chapters, new challenges in their careers, who have worked alongside Laura Kaminski. I expect for all of them it's a very difficult moment indeed. For me, Laura Kaminski, since Laura came in to Crystal Palace in the summer of 2023, I thought from the get-go, Laura Kaminski instilled a working mentality with young players that she inherited at Crystal Palace. That's the beginning of last season in the Barclays Championship. Also, she inherited established Crystal Palace women players in the team, and some players who were coming towards the end of their playing careers, I suppose, or looking to go to other challenges. And from the get-go, I always felt that Laura Kaminski was able to bring all of that together, including the players that were brought in by the head of women's football, which is a lady called Grace Williams. And I thought Laura Kaminski was able to bring them all in and get them all focused for the challenge ahead of the beginning of the Barclays Championship season 23-24, and went to the very first Selhurst Park fixture, where the Crystal Palace women played at home at Selhurst Park, and also went to many of not all, but the majority of the away fixtures as well, to get what I call the pulse of how Laura Kaminski, her coaching staff, and the Crystal Palace women players began that Barclays Championship season 23-24. And from the get-go, I felt that the communication between Laura Kaminski, her staff, and her players was to improve the players' individual skills, individually and collectively as a squad, And as the season progressed, every game that I went to, it had more intensity, more hunger to get the job done, to get promoted. And when that first fixture at Selhurst Park, we lost. It was raining. It was a horrible day, but it was a very eventful day because it was the first time that the Crystal Palace women played at Selhurst Park. And I remember at the end of the match, the players getting into a huddle in the middle of the Selhurst Park pitch, and just observing it as a football fan does from the stand at the end of the match. And I said to myself, like this team is going to get promoted. And can't prove it to anyone that I said that, but that's what I said to myself then. I said, this team is going to get promoted. And when I left Selhurst Park that day, never had a doubt. Wish I was a betting person because Laura Kaminski, Grace Williams, and all the coaching staff and all the staff at Crystal Palace, we're up against them. We're against all the odds. And in comparison to their competitors in the Barclays Championship that season, other football clubs that had more net spend, as I saw it, more experience, if you like, as a unit. Laura Kaminski, when she came in the summer of 2023 at Crystal Palace, she absolutely took it by the horns, and she just progressed and progressed with her players, with her staff, to get the job done, to land the Barclays Women's Championship trophy. Every match I felt that all the players were working hard on the pitch. They were fighting for each other on the pitch. Even when they got injured during the matches, they didn't want to come off. There was a belief, there was an intensity to work and to play for their manager. Of course, is Laura Kaminski throughout that 23-24 season. I felt it, I saw it, and at the end of the season, when they finished that match, the last match of the WSL, and Laura Kaminski lifted the trophy, together with all the coaching staff, Adam, Jeffrey, and all the other Crystal Palace women's players, Amy Evra, the Crystal Palace women's captain. It was just, I think, as a Crystal Palace fan, to see it from the beginning through to the end of that season, and home and away fixtures, that just watching them celebrate, lift that trophy, it's up there. It's got to be. It's up there with the best of my memories as being a Crystal Palace fan. When I heard the news earlier on, I was upset. I couldn't believe it, but I suppose for professional football players and professional managers in the game, it's part of the process, which is, and this part, when a manager gets released or has to move on to a new chapter in their careers, it's what occurs. How it occurs, I guess we all have an ideal perception of how it should occur, like a moment. But is there really a perfect moment? Probably not. But in respect to Laura Kaminski's dedication, effort, application, first and foremost, I think, as a Crystal Palace fan, what I gathered from Laura Kaminski's players on the football pitch was that every game, every single football player playing for Laura Kaminski, whether it was at Selhurst Park, at the venue where they normally play their home fixtures, or if they were playing on away fixtures, they were all absolutely dedicated to improve their individual levels as professional football players and to get those 3 points or to get further into the next round of the domestic cup, wherever it was, whether it was the FA Cup. And 2 moments, I think. I mentioned one when it was that home fixture at Selhurst Park and the result didn't go to Laura Kaminski's and her players' way. But at the end of that, I thought that for me, as I said earlier on, I said to myself, this team is going to get promoted. The second moment was I went to an away fixture. It was the last match that she played in the Laura Kaminski and her players played against Chelsea in the FA Cup last year, and she was up against Emma Hayes, she's now the USA American women's manager, and player for player of Laura Kaminski's side, they took it to Chelsea. And I still had the belief then, during that match, we lost 1-0. The Colombian international, Maya Ramirez, she scored a back heel and she scored a few suspect refereeing decisions on that day, I have to say, favouring the Chelsea fans. But the players on the pitch playing for Laura Kaminski up against one of the best managers in women's football, one of the best squad in depth of Chelsea FC. I said to myself then, that's the second memory that is definitely poignant to me, was they can do this. They can go all the way. They can get not only promoted from the Barclays Championship, but to then go on to the Barclays Women's Super League. And another amazing moment for me that I experienced as a Crystal Palace fan, watching Laura Kaminski and her players, was at the beginning of the WSL. I went to it was an away fixture at Tottenham Hotspur, at the Leyton Orient Stadium, where the Tottenham Hotspur women play their home fixtures. Had a wonderful day. Big up to the Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. Okay, we didn't win that day. The Crystal Palace women team didn't win. We lost 4-0. But the reception of the Tottenham Hotspur Club, receiving the Crystal Palace fans and the Crystal Palace players there, I thought they were very good. I had a brilliant day. And why? Because I saw Laura Kaminski come out of a tunnel and with her players, hand me over, Crystal Palace captain, leading the Crystal Palace women's team for the first time into the WSL. And why is that so poignant for me as a Crystal Palace fan? It's because it just proves how brilliant, how amazing the abilities of Laura Kaminski is, not just as a manager. I've said it before and I'll say it again, as the coach of the Crystal Palace women. I think she coaches them individually. She coached them individually, and she improved individually all of their levels from the moment they first came into contact. And now, of course, Laura Kaminski is going to a new chapter in her career. But I'm sure, no doubt, that all the Crystal Palace women players, football players that have played for her team, that have moved on to other challenges in their careers, I'm in no doubt that they're all absolutely grateful for what Laura has given to them. I expect it's also been in reverse, that the players have given so much to Laura herself. And I'll come to the chat later on. Just doing the thing about my reaction to Laura Kaminski being released as the Crystal Palace women's manager. I will come to the chat later on. So for me, those 3 moments are opponent. The very first match at Selhurst Park, where the Crystal Palace women played, and seeing them in the huddle in the middle of Selhurst Park, And I said to myself, this team is going to get promoted. I'll never forget that. The second one was, for me, experiencing and watching Laura, her captain Amy Everett, all the players, all the staff, Chris Williams, people that are working at Crystal Palace as we speak, as you're listening to this, celebrate them lift that Barclays championship trophy. That's the team there, and that's a big moment for me as well. The third one is just viewing Laura Kaminski take, for the first time in the history of Crystal Palace women's football, her team into the WSL, an away fixture at Tottenham Hotspur at the Leyton Orient Stadium. Those three moments, it demonstrates, as I said earlier on, how amazing and how brilliant Laura Kaminski is as a football fan, watching her side, her players develop, push limits on that pitch and deliver results, deliver a trophy and deliver an opportunity to play at the top league of women's football. That demonstrates that Laura Kaminski has, in my opinion, opened a can of worms, if you like, a legacy for future women's footballers to come to Crystal Palace and to play at the top level that there is in the WSL. I expect that all the opponent managers that have faced Laura Kaminski in the 23-24 season of them winning the championship last season, the opponent managers, they'll all be respectful and they'll be aware of what Laura Kaminski achieved as a manager at Crystal Palace, and also the managers that have opposed in the opposition technical area in the WSL this season thus far and in the domestic cup competitions. They all understand how good and how amazing Laura Kaminski is. Those are my first three views on Laura Kaminski. She's the real deal. What she says gets done. And she did two things, I think, historical for the Crystal Palace Football Club. I've mentioned two of them just a minute ago. She won silverware. Laura Kaminski won the Barclays Women's Championship 23-24 season as their manager. Laura Kaminski led her team, the very first Crystal Palace women's team ever to participate in the Barclays Women's Super League. Laura Kaminski achieved that. And viewing all that, to hear the news today, first of all, you get the reaction, you get the emotion, you feel like, oh my days. But when you start to analyze it, the first thing that then I thought straight away was, I hope Laura Kaminski is fine and she's okay. And her coaching staff, Adam Jeffrey, all the other coaches, there they all are. There they all are, lined up there. No, wait, don't fall over, please. And so that was my initial thoughts, is disappointment, sad, but then straight away I clicked and I thought, Laura, I hope that she's all right, and her staff, that they're also okay. They must be having a very difficult day today. And then secondly, straight away, was the Crystal Palace women players, football players. I think there was no less than 13 or 14. 13 of them are on international duty. And they're probably making their way back and whatnot. And my thought was, I thought I hope they're also doing okay, because it's not. I don't think it's just working for a manager and playing professionally football. It's it it must be a journey that the players have with their manager and the coaching staff that are there to improve their levels as professional football players. So I expect that many of the football players may have been in different parts of the world right now when they heard the news today, and so I was concerned about that. I was hoping that all the Crystal Palace women players are well. Please, I'll come to the chat just in a minute. Let me just get this out, but I will come to the chat, everyone. Big up to everyone in the chat. And so it's for me, that was the second thought. The players, I hope they're all okay. I'm sure they are, but it must be a difficult moment for a lot of them. Even the players that have at the beginning of the WSL campaign this year, the 24-25 year season in the WSL, some of them were moved on. They moved on to other clubs, so I expect they're also feeling it, because what I mean to say is that I saw on home fixtures and away fixtures last season the amount of work, the dedication, the passion that all the Crystal Palace women players did on that pitch. Not just to improve their individual skills as professional women football players, but also to get the job done for Laura Kaminski and do it in the way that she made them able to achieve that winning championship trophy. So I expect for a lot of them, be they be still at Crystal Palace or in other football clubs, I expect they're having a difficult Friday as well as the news broke. So that was my reaction to that. And then the other reaction that I had after that, so first it was Laura, the football players, Laura, the coaching staff as well, and the football players, whether they be at Crystal Palace or the ones that are still not Crystal Palace. I hope they're all okay. And then the third one was, I expect there has to be personnel, staff at Crystal Palace that have gone through that journey with them from the beginning of the summer of 2023 to the present day. So they're all probably having a tough day at the office, no doubt. Of course, I don't know anyone at the football club. I don't know if they knew today or yesterday or whenever, but it's been announced officially by the football club in the official webpage today. So yeah, so I was thinking of the staff, the players, and first and foremost of Laura and her coaching staff. I hope they're all fine. Today is a very difficult day, I expect, for all of them. Then the other thing was, how does one react to it as a football fan? And I think there's a difference of football fans that have a passion and thought of a football club. And I don't perceive that I went to every single away fixture last season. I didn't, but I went to as many as I could and I could get to. And also as many as the home fixtures, and also the ones at Selhurst Park. So for me, I wasn't the only one there. So there was hundreds. At the end of last day, there was thousands of football fans that experienced that. That endeavour, that want and need and desire from the Crystal Palace women football players, Laura Kaminski and her staff last season, to get the job done and land that championship trophy. So that was my first thought of it. First of all was my disappointment, sad. But then automatically I went, I hope Laura Kaminski is fine today, Friday the 20th of February. Very difficult day for her, I expect. A difficult day for her coaching staff, her players, Amy Everett, the Crystal Palace women's captain. I hope you're recovering from your operation well. For all the Crystal Palace players, I was thinking straight away, I hope that they're doing okay, because some of them are probably travelling back from international duty, so it's got to be a tough one for a lot of them if they're not in situ at their training ground and hearing this changing room developing news. That's my first take on it. So I sincerely hope that everyone at the football club and Laura Kaminski are doing the best that they can today on a very, very difficult day. And also the Crystal Palace fans out there, I expect they're all hurting. I'm hurting right now after hearing the news. Right, the next section I want to talk about is the Crystal Palace club and them making that decision, and how do I perceive it as a football fan. I don't know anyone at the football club, and I've never owned a football club. I've never hired a manager, let go of a manager, or brought in a player, let go of a player, that sort of scenario. But I expect the football club has had to have made a very, very, very difficult decision in what they've done. And now Laura Kaminski is no longer the Crystal Palace women's manager. And I expect that any football club, whether it be in the women's game, in the men's game, or in the academy, or at any level in the football club, they would have some kind of a contingency plan in the event that, because things do occur, people may feel ill, people may be released because of results, or a situation where another manager might be brought in and then you swap over, whatever. So there's different circumstances. So, but there has to be. I would have thought that Crystal Palace would have a contingency plan. Hopefully not with just one more candidate or another one to bring in. So I expect that that's an evolving situation there, a live one. And I'm not going to go into who I think should come in, because I don't think today is the day for that. I'm too preoccupied just thinking and worried about how the Crystal Palace women football players are, and of course how Laura Kaminski and her coaching staff are as well, although they're not there at Crystal Palace no longer. It's just Laura that's been released, I believe. I think also if there are some Crystal Palace women players that were on or are on international duty or are travelling back, I would expect that the football club would have put a plan in place to make them aware of it, so they hear it from the club first and not from someone like me or anyone out in the media. It should be done internally, I would have thought. And I'm sure they've done that. I'm sure they've done that. Why? Because it goes to my point earlier on where I said it's paramount of importance, the well-being and the welfare of the Crystal Palace women football players if they're in international duty and they've been notified by their football club. Of course, Crystal Palace, that Laura is no longer the football manager. It should be coming from the club first and not through any other means, I would have thought. And it's going to be upsetting for them. They must be upset about it. So I'm sure that they will have a point of contact with the club if they need questions, if they need someone to talk to there, that they can help them, because, their well-being is got to be paramount of importance, I would have thought. For me, if there was an ideal time or ideal moment, I think it should have been done at the end of the previous fixture that the Crystal Palace women had, if it was going to make the decision there. But so clearly events have evolved since then, and then it's been announced today officially by the football club. But the point I'm trying to get at is, I would have thought, and I hope, and I sincerely hope, that Laura Kaminski had the opportunity to stand in front of her players, the entire squad, the entire coaching staff, the medical staff, even the members of employees that work at Crystal Palace, and stand in front of them and let them all know that this is going to land. Why I think that's important is because what I mentioned earlier on. Of course, everything wasn't done only by Laura Kaminski. It took a team of people, the players, the coaching staff, the medical, the staff at Crystal Palace, the football fans at Crystal Palace. It took a lot of people, but primarily it took Laura Kaminski to put all that together and make the tough decisions to pick the team that got them to win that championship trophy. Not only did they not win the Barclays Women's Championship 23-24 season, Laura Kaminski took the Crystal Palace women football team for the very first time into the WSL. That's history made there. That cannot be removed. That cannot be taken away. That's there. And furthermore, as I said earlier on, Laura Kaminski went into the first match of the WSL. That's got to be one of my best moments as well. Just watching Laura Kaminski lead her team with Amy Everett, Crystal Palace women's captain, onto that Tottenham Hotspur pitch, where they were playing the first match in the WSL. And that's a moment in history. Why is it so important? It's absolutely important because what Laura Kaminski has started, in my opinion, and I'm going to call it, is the Laura Kaminski legacy of women's football at Crystal Palace. It has kick-started, in my opinion, like flick the light switch, open the door, open the window to other to young women who may wish to enter into professional women's football and say, I was taken to that match, I want to be on that pitch. And Laura Kaminski took the Crystal Palace women's team into the WSL, and that could have been the very first time that they saw those matches. So it's an inspiring situation of a legacy created by Laura Kaminski by achieving the championship 23-24 season and getting them into the WSL. So I think it's so important for so many other reasons, apart from what's occurred today. And it's big up to you, Henry Smith. I will come to the chat in a minute because I'm just trying to get into the flow. Otherwise, I'll forget what I've been thinking for the last 2 hours. Big up to you, Henry Smith. So Laura Kaminski has achieved that. And so I think I'm in the section of the football club. So I expect the football clubs to have been in communication with all the players, with all the staff internally, because this is I expect it's an evolving situation, and they're going to be upset. There's going to be a lot of members of staff at Crystal Palace, a lot of Crystal Palace players, and even some of the Crystal Palace players that have left Crystal Palace at the beginning of the WSL campaign this season have gone to other clubs. They're going to be upset. So it's important that everybody, hopefully they've all received the communication internally first, and they're all being looking after each other. I'm sure they are. That's what Crystal Palace does best, even at times as difficult as it is today, I expect. And I absolutely, because I am one of them, a Crystal Palace fan, I'm passionate about the development of women's football at Crystal Palace. It's so important that when the club can communicate any information, because this is an evolving situation I expect at the football club, as I'm doing this live, that they can, when possible, communicate via the official webpage, whatever information they can tell us. But I think, as I say, I'm not going to discuss whom I think should take over from Laura, because I think today's not about that. Today's about Laura and her players and the staff there. And no doubt as I'm upset. I'm really upset about it. It's a horrible part of football. Some may say that it's about following a manager or following a striker or a best player on the pitch. No, this is about what I saw last season and the work and the dedication from Laura Kaminski's football players out there on those pitches in torrential rain, in some of the surfaces that they were playing last season. I was like, you're going to get injured before you even kick a ball because it was so damp and soggy. I think that was the Watford game. And actually, this brings me to another point, which I could have mentioned at the beginning about the Crystal Palace women players. I remember one. It was the away fixture against Watford, and Elise Hughes went up for it was a corner coming in. Elise Hughes jumped up for the ball, and she got on the way up, on the way down, she hurt her jaw or her face, and Elise Hughes was like, putting her face back together, one thing, and then the other thing was, I thought she at one point she was actually trying to hide it from Laura from her touchline, because I expect Elise Hughes just did not want to come off the pitch. That is how dedicated Elise Hughes is for Crystal Palace women's football team. And I was saying, well, you can't hide from her. Laura doesn't miss anything. And but that's the kind of dedication that Laura Kaminski, I actually saw it. I saw in the women's football team dedication, not to want to come off that pitch because they want to get the job done and get promoted and win that trophy, and that's what they did. Another moment I saw was a home fixture at Selhurst Park when Hayley Nolan was tackled earlier on in the first half at Selhurst Park, and Hayley Nolan was injured. I think it was a shoulder or a chest or an arm injury, and it was right in front of me. And I said to myself, when actually, when you see a hard tackle in a match, as a spectator, as a football fan, you think, whoa, ouch, that kind of thing. Like, ugh. And I just said to myself, I'm not getting up from that if that was me. And Hayley Nolan continued throughout the whole 90 minutes, including into injury time. And again, that's got to come down from the dedication, the intensity of the mental strength that Laura Kaminski must have given to her players to just keep on at it. Just doesn't matter if your shoulder or your face has been injured, just carry on playing. And that's why I gave Hayley Nolan my vote for player of last season, actually. But Molly May Sharp got it. But Molly May Sharp was amazing as well. Of course. They're all amazing. But Laura Kaminski instilled something that was so important on that football pitch for the women's football team last season. And that was, you keep going, and you don't stop until the job gets done. At the beginning of the WSL this season, as I say, I went to the first home fixture there, and I felt the same, absolutely the same. And I will come to the chat later on. Just later on, give me a chance. I just want to get this out. And so Laura did, in no doubt, improve the levels of the Crystal Palace women's players, and absolutely got them to achieve goals in their careers while she was their manager. So that's another aspect I wanted to discuss that I saw of the football club as well. And they took the club to, it's made history. As I said, they won promotion, they won a trophy under Laura Kaminski's leadership as the Crystal Palace women's manager, and they've broken into the WSL. So history's been made, and that's what I call the Laura Kaminski legacy at Crystal Palace women's football. And it's never going to finish. It's only going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, in my opinion. Absolutely, that's not going to stop. So, as I say, so with the club, they've made a difficult decision, and I hope I hope that they can tell the football fans and everybody else as this situation is evolving today and probably tomorrow, or tomorrow's it's Millwall, but anyway, and they've got Liverpool, and that's another one. Liverpool also released their manager recently. I believe it was a gentleman called Matt Beard. So that's it's a week of managers. I don't know. It's been thrown anyway, but it is what it is. So it's difficult, not just at Crystal Palace. And so for me, it's that's the second aspect. So the first bit was my reaction. I was very sad. I'm still very upset. I'm very upset right now. But and that's an understatement. But I have to put that aside because I'm thinking the priority should be, I hope Laura Kaminski is fine today on a Friday, 28th of February, and also all the Crystal Palace players. They've got a match in 48 hours. I mean, how do you deal with that? But they're all professionals, and so I expect that the football club Crystal Palace will be working with their players and the coaching staff. As I'm going to quickly just double check it, because how I read it is just Laura that is no longer the manager at Crystal Palace. Let me just go to the official webpage, and then I'll do my last bit of what I think, and then I'll come to the chat. I will come to the chat. I am coming to the chat. Where's the official Crystal Palace page? I'll read it out, actually. It was announced. Let me just refresh it in case they've updated something. It's been announced just 4 hours ago, so it's 7 o'clock, 7:15. So just 4 hours ago, and it's a statement. It says Laura Kaminski. 4 hours ago. This is from the official webpage at cpfc.co.uk. I hope I haven't butchered that. I have nothing to do with the football club. I'm just a football fan. The statement reads out, Crystal Palace women can confirm that Laura Kaminski has left the club with immediate effect. Chairman Steve Parish said, in quotes, "This has been an extremely difficult decision for the club to take. Laura has made a fantastic impact since arriving in the summer of 2023, getting the club promoted to the WSL for the first time in its history." Steve Parish goes on to say, Laura has given her all on and off the pitch, and she leaves here with all our thanks and best wishes for the future. End of quote from Steve Parish. The statement reads on, Crystal Palace women will provide an update on Laura's replacement in due course. I'm sure that's an evolving situation, but I don't even want to go into that right now, because today's not about that. Today is about reflection on what Laura has unleashed, the legacy of women's football, what I call the Laura Kaminski's legacy at Crystal Palace women's football. She's absolutely opened it up because she has made history whilst being the manager of Crystal Palace, getting her side promoted with a next to a minimal net spend budget at the beginning of the 2023 season in comparison to the teams that she was facing in the Barclays Championship 23-24 season. She had to put all the pieces together and make the tough decisions on her technical area, I expect also in training. And she delivered two historical moments. Crystal Palace women team won the championship 2023-24 season, and she led for the first time, the Crystal Palace women's team, as the manager of Crystal Palace, into the WSL for the very first time. A fixture against Tottenham Hotspur women. And those two moments are massive for me. Absolutely massive for me. This has got to be the difficult part of, I expect, any football club. It happens in other business environments. I'm aware of that. But in football clubs, I think it kind of, it has a tone which is excremented. It's just it has a higher tone, if you like, because the staff at the club, the players, the families of the football players, every time a Crystal Palace women's football player got injured on the pitch, who picks them up? The manager, I expect, and the family members of the Crystal Palace players. So there's a lot of emotions going on here because a lot was achieved last season and a lot is still being achieved this season, even though of where the Crystal Palace women's team is right now in the WSL. There is so much that has been achieved this season, and there's so much potential there in the whole squad of the Crystal Palace women's team. I'm not just saying that because I'm a Crystal Palace football fan of the women's football team. I'm saying it because it's a reality. They've got there on merit, and they will get the job done. The Crystal Palace women's team never give up on each other, and they never give up on their manager. That's what I saw last season and what I've seen this season as well. So, difficult moments for the football club. It's an evolving situation, and it is important that the club, as I said earlier on, support the players right now. There has to be paramount of importance right now, especially if they're traveling from international duty. This is affecting a lot of people at the football club. So, but on the other side, as a football fan looking at it, well, I'm looking at it as a football fan anyway, but I expect the football club are dealing with that. And as the statement, official statement says, it does say Crystal Palace women will provide an update on Laura's replacement in due course. So it's not just that, there's going to be other situations. So the reason why I went into that is there's no mention of Adam Jeffrey. So I expect that he will, he's going to have to be picking up the pieces, working with the players in training, because they are playing Liverpool. And Liverpool themselves have lost their manager this week as well. A gentleman called their manager, Matt Beard, and previously he got them winning titles before, so he's a very experienced manager over there. He's lost his job as well. It's one of those weeks where it's just, my head is starting to just begin to feel like a mushroom cloud. It's about to go woof, like literally. I will come to the chat in a moment. I will come. So that's that aspect. So first of all was my shock, disappointment. I'm still very upset. I'm sad to hear that Laura's left. And that's an understatement. The second thing is Laura. I hope that Laura Kaminski and her staff are all well. Well, Laura is all fine. And now the Crystal Palace players, they need to look after them. They've got a match in 48 hours, within less 48 hours, against Liverpool women's football team. Oh, my God. Okay. So it's one of those. And now it goes on. I want to go on. So that's the second part. So I hope the football club, with this evolving situation, do the utmost to look after the players. I'm sure they're doing that. But also when they can communicate to all of us, the football fans, the correct information. I always wait for the announcements from the football club, because it just does your head in if you go elsewhere and you just hear things that are not actually factual, and then it just does your head in. So that's I'm working it from the official webpage at Crystal Palace. Don't forget that for me, what I said earlier on, what I think Laura has started at Crystal Palace is a legacy of women's football development. So I think it's brilliant. The third thing I'm going to go in about is I've mentioned Laura, the players, the football club, and then what I think about me as a football fan, overall, the whole thing, the situation today with Laura Kaminski, no longer the Crystal Palace women's manager. This has to be the horrible part of football, when you know that somebody's gone in to take a responsibility of a squad of players like Laura Kaminski did, and made no doubt about it. I'm just a football fan, and I don't know anyone at the football club, but I can guarantee you categorically, Laura didn't take that job on because she didn't think that she could do what she needed to do there. And she delivered a trophy. She got them into the WSL. That's in the history books now. No one can take that away from Laura. Nobody. No one. And then this happens. Okay, now putting the emotion to one side, from the club's perspective, I expect that there would be, clearly a decision has been made because it's now been made official, but it's because of evolving events within that part of the business. If it was in the men's game and Oliver Glasner was going through such a bad spell of results, home and away, the same situation would have materialized. Or if it was in another business, it would have happened the same there. So it does happen. I get that. I get that. The point being that I'm mentioning this now is, and I kind of touched on it earlier on, is when something like this happens, and it's like literally within 48 hours of Crystal Palace women's team facing the Liverpool women's team, which have also just recently actually just released their manager. God, recently, what didn't happen recently? It happened in the last few days. It happened 2 days ago. Matt Beard was also removed from the manager of being of the women's Liverpool team. What a mad week. This is a mad week. Anyway, there has to be a recovery structure, I expect, at the football club to deal with this kind of situations. It's not new to the club. It shouldn't be new to any football club, because these things happen when the results don't go there to what is expected. Unfortunately, these circumstances occurred. If that's what's occurred, as all I know, it's because of the results. It could be something confidential within the football club between themselves and Laura, which is no one's business, really. It's between them two. So we don't know yet. There could be personal circumstances as well that has caused this as well. So you have to bear that in mind. But as I say, I'm sure the football club will announce it officially. But nevertheless, we are where we are. I'm saying that as a football fan looking at Crystal Palace, at the women's football team. So they're facing Liverpool within 48 hours, and we've just lost one of the best managers in England football. My head's starting to hurt so much. It's just ridiculous. But it's been done. The decision is done. So something has to kick in now at the football club, where it has to be supportive of the current players, the current coaching staff that are still there, because nothing else has been announced officially. I expect that they will all, if they're having training, that means that they probably, if they all received the news today when they went into work today on Friday, what kind of training would they have had today and on Saturday, the day before the match against Liverpool. I would have thought and I would expect that everyone that needed to be told within the football club, i.e. the current women's football playing squad, the coaching staff, this would have been announced, if you like, internally yesterday, to allow for them today to have a full days of training of some sort. They're all professionals, so and I expect all coaching staff, as I said earlier on, and all professional football players are sadly accustomed to these situations where circumstances beyond their control, boom, a manager gets released and then somebody else has to come in. So they're going to have to deal with that today and tomorrow. I can't even think about Millwall tomorrow. I can't even do it. I can't do it. I just can't do it at the moment. I haven't gone past that moment to recover. I will come to the chat. Big up to Henry Smith. I will come up to the chat in a minute. Thank you very much. I'm being patient. I will come to all of you and I will read out all the notes if possible. So that's the thing. So we've got a match on Friday. The Crystal Palace women team has a match on Sunday, and they have to prepare the players for that. So it's pointless me saying why didn't they do it when I think they should have done it, because clearly events have evolved since the last time the Crystal Palace women's team played, and it's just refreshing the official webpage in case there's further news. Just in case they've announced anything else, and then I'll move on to the chat. It is what it is, but I'm desperately. No, there's no further announcement in the official webpage. It's a 2 p.m. kickoff on Sunday against Liverpool. Oh my God. The decision has been made. All right, so then the club has to just support the players now and the staff that are available there to get them prepared for that match against Liverpool. And Liverpool women's team have just experienced something similar. So, and it's actually very similar because their manager, if I'm not mistaken, Matt Beard, previously at Liverpool, won them championships there. So they're going through in the same week as what the Crystal Palace team are doing right now. Difficult week in women's football, in women's management. Right, so I mentioned my reaction, where I thought straight away, well-being of Laura should be paramount of importance to players, and then also I've mentioned how I view it as the club should have, or how I'm responding to how the club has dealt with it. And I'm sure that the club are being supportive of all the players and all the staff there, because they've got a match within 48 hours against Liverpool. That's not going to be an easy fixture as well. So it's a very difficult week for the football club, Crystal Palace, and the women's football team, all their players. I've also mentioned why I think it's so important that people, I don't think it'll ever be forgotten, but understand what Laura Kaminski has brought to Crystal Palace, what Laura Kaminski has started at Crystal Palace Women's Football Club. She has begun to unleash a legacy of women's football, what I call the Laura Kaminski legacy of women's football. Because with that team there, you see there, they won the Barclays Championship trophy 23-24 season. Not only that, those celebrations on the last match was unreal. I'll never forget that day celebrating with them. Just understands again. Yes, that was so needed. But also watching Laura Kaminski lead for the very first time in the history of Crystal Palace women's football, the Crystal Palace women's team out for the first fixture in the WSL in the 24-25 season in the Barclays Women's Super League, an away fixture at Tottenham Hotspur. Watching that there in the Leyton Orient Stadium where the Tottenham Hotspur women play their home matches, it's something that I'll never forget. And that was all done and achieved, not only by Laura Kaminski, but because of what she instilled in her players last season, this season. That's ongoing. And it's going to open now. And this is going to go on to the last bit, which I'm going to mention about Laura leaving Crystal Palace women's football team as their manager, is that I'm in no doubt that the three things have occurred whilst Laura Kaminski has been the manager at Crystal Palace. First and foremost, she has improved the levels of individual and collectively of all the Crystal Palace women players that she's come into contact at Crystal Palace. How do I know that? I don't know that because I've been in training on the football matches. I haven't. I'm just a football fan. But from the effort, the want and need and desire of watching the levels of individual players get better and better through last season and continuing to improve this season as well. I'm in no doubt that Laura Kaminski has begun a legacy for women's football. A light flick switch has been flicked, and now the spotlight is on Crystal Palace women. I expect that another thing which I think Laura Kaminski has done is she has inspired not just young women, but young men who want to go into women's football because they've been at one of her matches and says, I want to do that, and tell their parents, can you take me to training? So Laura has, no doubt, inspired a young women, a young girl or a young boy to get into football. The third thing which I think Laura Kaminski has done and achieved throughout her time as the Crystal Palace women's manager is that, no doubt that if there are any Crystal Palace women football players that she's worked with or she has just recently worked with at Crystal Palace, and if they're doing their coaching badges and they have aspirations to go into management, into coaching, oh my days, has Laura Kaminski not inspired them? Please. That's what's happened. So I'm in no doubt that if there is a Crystal Palace women football player right now in the squad and they have aspirations of going into coaching and management, they would have learnt so much and probably obtained a friendship, a working friendship with Laura Kaminski, no doubt, to propel them when they finish playing professional women's football into going into coaching and developing the skills of the next generation of women going into women's football in England. And that's all because of what Laura Kaminski did ever since she dropped at Selhurst Park in the summer of 2023 until the 28th of February 2025 today. I can't get past it. I've got Millwall tomorrow, and this is just completely just taking me out. But the decision has been made. And I am in no doubt that the club will be. They have to support the players. We've got a match against Liverpool on Sunday. And I mentioned it earlier on. I sincerely hope that Laura Kaminski had the opportunity to speak to all her players, to all her staff, and including the members of staff that work for Crystal Palace, and just respectfully told them that this decision has been made and had her words with them. I know managers come and go from football clubs. I know that happens as a football fan. I get it. But this is different. This is different. 3 things have occurred. First of all, Laura has created history at Crystal Palace Women's Football. Started the Laura Kaminski's legacy of women's football at Crystal Palace by getting that winning 2023-24 Barclays Championship. That trophy is in Chief Paris's office right now. It's there. Secondly, I'm in no doubt that Laura, and because of her actions since the summer of 2023 till today, the 20th of February, she has inspired young women and possibly as well young men to get involved into footballing at an earlier stage that they can possibly can. There's no doubt about that. She's inspiring the next generation. And third of all, as I just mentioned, Laura Kaminski at Crystal Palace has probably inspired the football players that she's worked alongside with to go into women's coaching football at club level, and hopefully one day to get themselves up into international level. I'm sure that those 3 things is what will cement the legacy of Laura Kaminski at Crystal Palace. The last bit, which I'm going to end this, because literally I'm going to be driven to one of these, like literally in a minute. And I've got Millwall tomorrow. Do me one. All right. I'm in no doubt that the next football club out there that acquires the skills and the professionalism of Laura Kaminski as their first team manager and coach of their women's football team. Oh, my days are they getting a good coach. Oh, my days are they getting a good manager. Pound for pound, we've just let go of someone really special. And they're going to get someone absolutely amazing. But it is what it is. So I expect that because of what I saw last season and what I've seen this season, that Laura will continue in women's football management and in coaching. Why? Because the game needs her. Women's football needs Laura Kaminski. Not because I say so. Please go and ask the professional women's football players that have worked with her this season in the WSL and last year in the Barclays Championship campaign 23-24 season. Go and talk to the professionals in the game. Go and talk to them. And I'm no doubt that they will all tell you that Laura's place is in that technical area. Inspiring young women, young men to get into football, and inspiring women football players to get into coaching and developing the next generation of women football coming into women's football. I am absolutely. I've got Millwall tomorrow, and I've got no energy for that one right now. This is it is what it is. But what I think, maybe it's not important. But I think what's important right now is that Laura's fine, and also that the Crystal Palace women players, I mean, no doubt the club is supporting them through this changing and evolving situation at the football club. Some of them may, as I say, may be travelling back from international duty. So it's going to be a tough one for all of them. And as I say, I've nothing to do with the football club, just a football fan. But I'm going to shout out to Crystal Palace here. Although they've really it's an understatement how upset I am. But go to the official webpage. I have nothing to do with the football club. Just a football fan. And nor has this channel. But go to the official webpage, is cpfc.co.uk. And in there, all you need to do is, once you go in there, on the top right hand corner, there's like 3 little lines. Just click on that, and then just scroll down to the women's section below the teams and players. In there, you can see instantly access on the official web page, the fixtures, availability of tickets, and I would suggest to people out there to just keep on checking the official web page for the correct information, because information right now, I'm not going to go into who's going to replace Laura, because today's not the day for that. Today's not the day for that. I'm not having that. But there's a lot of information there on the official webpage at cpfc.co.uk. And as I say, I've got nothing to do with the football club, I'm just a football fan. And also there, if you just, once you go into the women's section in that page, if you scroll down, you can actually see another section where it says Explore Palace Women. And there you have, your cursor will be able to highlight fixtures, the profiles, which means the football players, Crystal Palace women players, a ticket, and also investors that have come into there, and also other social media contacts there. Big up to Paul Brady. I will come to the chat. I will come to the chat. I will come to them. Big up to Damo. Big up to Damo. Big up to everyone in the chat. Just finishing my bit, because otherwise I lose my thread amongst other things. The other thing on the official webpage at cpfc.co.uk, and as I say, I've got nothing to do with the football club, just a football fan. I strongly recommend that you go and check out Palace TV. They have amazing content, not just on the Crystal Palace women football team, but also on the unders, on the Darren Powell, and also the men's senior side, Oliver Glasner, and the men's there. And also there's other information. There's also historical stuff in there. But go to Palace TV. I will recommend it to you. I know of people that actually don't support Crystal Palace, that have connections to football scouts, and they actually are subscribed to it because they get an insight of players. They get a little pulse. It's that good. So go and check it out. On today, that's such a difficult day. Get the right information from there. Right. In a nutshell, I'm very sad, very upset, and that is a very understatement. Big understatement in seeing Laura Kaminski leave Crystal Palace. We've just lost, pound for pound, one of the best managers and coaches in women's football. But I'm conscious and aware that football clubs, not just in women's football games, in men's football as well, but also in other businesses, sometimes difficult decisions have to be made, and everybody has to knuckle down and get on with it, because I mean, no doubt that the Crystal Palace women squad right now, they're all absolutely hurting and upset about this, but they're all professionals. So I mean, no doubt that the club is supporting them individually and collectively as a squad, not just them, and also the coaching staff that still remains there. They've got a fixture against Liverpool within 2 weeks, within 48 hours. It's an away fixture. Tickets are available, so if anybody out there can get there, it's a home fixture against the Liverpool women. So the club, I mean, no doubt they'll be supportive of their players right now. They have to be, and get them as best as possible prepared for the next fixture against Liverpool women. And I'm going to end there not end the stream, but I'm going to end there on this. And I think I've said it once, but I think 3 things have occurred with Laura Kaminski at Selhurst Park at Crystal Palace. The first thing is that she has made history by getting the Crystal Palace women's team winning the championship, the Barclays Championship 23-24 season, with limited resources, minimal net spend available to her, literally landing the trophy with a lot less in comparison to what her opponents had last season in the Barclays Championship. She's made history on that point. She made history. Laura Kaminski made history by taking her side for the first time in the history of Crystal Palace women's football into the WSL. I was there at the Tottenham Hotspur. It's a Leighton Orient Stadium, but that's where the Tottenham Hotspur women have their home fixtures there. Had a wonderful day. We didn't win, but it wasn't about that. For me, it's just watching Amy Everett leading her team out there, the Crystal Palace women's captain, out onto the WSL. And there, on her side, was Laura Kaminski, Adam Jeffrey, all the coaching staff, doing what they've been doing since that day till today. They never give up on each other. They never gave up on that pitch, and they never will. They're that good. And the third thing that I think Laura Kaminski has done at Crystal Palace Women Football Club team is to inspire not only young men and young women to get into football. I can't prove it, but I know that because of them going to watch one of her matches out there, they've probably been inspired about football and get involved into football. And the second thing on that, I would add, I sincerely hope that any Crystal Palace women players that have worked or have just worked with Laura Kaminski at Crystal Palace, if they're doing their coaching badges and they have an intent to go into coaching and management in women's football and bringing onwards the next generation of women into women's football, no doubt that Laura Kaminski has just inspired them to roll up their sleeves and to get on with it. So that's the three things that I'm leaving on Laura Kaminski. Whoever signs Laura Kaminski, they're getting a top pound for pound. Brilliant women's manager and a coach. So that's where she needs to be on the technical area. So the very best to Laura Kaminski. And my thoughts are right now with all the Crystal Palace women players right now, because they must be going through a tough one. Real talk. Right, I'll go to the chat now. That's the first time I haven't paid attention. I sincerely apologize, but I had to get that out. Big up to everybody who still might be there. From the top, good afternoon. Well, it's evening now. Good evening, Semic. I hope you're well. Thank you for dropping in there. Thank you very much to Ben Finn. And they say, name one female player. The female, you mean a woman football player? I'm going to mention at the moment Amy Everett, the Crystal Palace women's captain. She's just had an operation. And I expect now, I don't know the professional thing to say, but I think what happens to the professional players when they have an operation, then they have to see how their bodies respond to the operation, and then it's probably a healing situation for the injury of the operation, and then they have to get to fitness, and then when they get to full fitness as professional football players again, then they have to get boots on grass, and then see how the body responds to boots on grass, and so that she has loads of stages to go through. So Ben Finn says, name one female Crystal Palace player. I'm naming Amy Everett, who's the Crystal Palace women's captain. Where are you, Amy? I mean, it's like, oh my days. Oh, there's Amy Everett. She's been hugged. That's why I couldn't see her. Just sitting next to Adam Jeffrey. Yeah, she's recovering from an injury right now, operation, I should say. So it's not about supporting the players just when they're on the pitch scoring goals for you. It's also about supporting them when they're going through a tough one. And today is another tough day. Oh, my days. Amy was going to be so upset. But it is what... She'll be fine. Right, also in the chat. Oh, good afternoon, good evening, Scott Whibley. I hope you're well. Thoughts on Sheffield Wednesday versus Sunderland? Sorry, my mind's gone on that. My mind has totally gone. I have no idea where is Sheffield Wednesday playing. Are they playing tonight or tomorrow? Are they in the FA Cup? No, they're not. I can't get past what's happened today, and I've got Millwall tomorrow. Within 24 hours, I've got Millwall, and I've got to. I haven't had time to do my weights for tomorrow for the Millwall match. and because of the news that broke today. I mean, like real talk. It is what it is. Sheffield Wednesday. Ben, the Sheffield Wednesday fan. Right, so he's a Sheffield Wednesday fan. So let's have a look. Sorry, Ben. Let's have a look quickly at the fixture. They must be playing today. Scores, fixtures. Oh, they are playing today in the Championship. Don't know where Sheffield Wednesday are in the Championship, but I do know that Sunderland are in the playoffs. And they have a player that we've been linked to before, of course, Bellingham. Is that right? Is he still there? I don't know. But there's a few players at Sunderland that Crystal Palace have been linked to. Quickly, I will look to answer your questions, my thought on it. Yeah, Sunderland are in the playoffs. Where is Sheffield Wednesday? They've just lost 2 on the bounce. So looking at it, or so has Sunderland actually. So now Sunderland should win that. They've still got an out chance to maybe catch Sheffield United, who are in second in the automatic playoffs, qualify to get away from the Championship up to the Premier League. Please hit a like and subscribe at Diego C. Palace if you're new. Henry Smith, good evening. I hope you're well, Ben, the Sheffield United fan. And good evening, Semic there. Jose Mourinho. I'm not going to go into Jose Mourinho because I know it's a delicate situation there. And I don't want to go into that, not today. But thank you for your comments there on Jose Mourinho and Turkish football and Galatasaray. I'm going to delete one of your comments because I don't want anything racial in my chat at all, especially at all. So I'm removing that. I know you're quoting somebody, but just because you quote something, I don't want it in my channel because there's one thing that I won't have is anything racial in there. Even if you think it's okay to do that because you're quoting somebody else. Well, in my channel, no, that's not going to be done. But I appreciate your contribution, but please don't put things like that in here. Thank you for your contribution. And big up to Henry Smith there for playing my. And then and Henry Smith is right. So I'm going to delete that as well. Oh my day! Listen, I really haven't got the patience for today. But thank you very much, Henry Smith, there for your pointing out your stuff. Right. So sorry, Ben, you're going to have to go now. I'm not having you. How do I do this? I don't even know how to do this. They're gone. So don't worry. Thank you very much, Henry Smith. Thank you for that. Good evening, Steve. RFC, I hope you're well. And Demo1168 says, who's taken over? Nothing official. I presume you're talking about, obviously, Crystal Palace women's team. Nothing official. My head's hurting just thinking about that issue right now. I expect that the club will have a constituency plan in place. Whether something materializes or not, it is prudent that any business or any football club at any situation, they will have a contingency plan, for example, for Oliver Glasner. So they will have a contingency plan in the event of somebody going to another football club, or there could be personal circumstances. They might lose a manager or whatever, whatnot. So I hope that Crystal Palace have got a contingency plan for not just one contender, but at least 2 contenders to take the job. Of course, I did say that I wasn't going to talk about it, but I'm talking about it. But hey ho, it is one of those days, and we've got Millwall tomorrow. My head is about to explode like a mushroom right now. But that's probably nothing. What's going on inside Crystal Palace right now? They're all going for a really tough time. So what I'm going through is mild, I expect. Who's taken over? I don't know, Damo1168. I've only had time to react to it myself and then go live. I was going to do an upload, But then I felt if I do it live, one needs to be careful how your emotions come out because it's live, number one. And number two, I've never done that before. So it's like a learning experience. So there's another thing. Laura Kaminski has inspired me to do a live reaction to something that I'm passionate about. And that's, of course, of what Laura Kaminski has achieved at Crystal Palace women's football. And no one and nothing can take that away because it's on the books. It's on the record. She landed a trophy. She led her team into the WSL for the first time in the history of women's football at Crystal Palace into the WSL. And third of all, I'm saying there's no doubt that she has inspired young women, young men into football because of the work that she's done as a manager. And also, I'm sure she's inspired Crystal Palace women football players that's playing at Crystal Palace right now to take up coaching, management, to bring onwards the next generation of women into women's football in England or in other parts of or in other countries. So I don't know yet, Damo One. I haven't even looked at the rumours yet. I have a hunch of who's going to be doing it, but but I just don't want to go into it right now. If is that all right, Damo? But yeah, no. Let me give you a clue. We've got Liverpool on Sunday, and this week they also have just released their manager. Not been announced yet. Big up to Henry Smith in the chat. And what's this? Yeah, listen, Samek, I appreciate you making comments about Fenerbahce and situations, but just because you're quoting somebody else, you could get my channel into trouble. So I'm going to remove that because it's I haven't got a headache for it. I just haven't got a headache. I haven't looked into the situation of Jose Mourinho. I haven't looked into it. There's been too much going on today. And I've got me all tomorrow. So, but I am going to delete those because I just don't want my channel anywhere near that, quite frankly. But thank you, Samek, for contributions, but it is what it is. Steve RFC says in the chat, good games tomorrow, but Sunday got best games, 3 games. Yeah, there's loads of football. Oh, do you know what? I'm going to start doing the watch along for the Aston Villa now. I'll do it now. I'm doing it now. The FA Cup has started. I haven't done my predictions. Oh, my head hurts. My head but that's nothing compared to what the players at Crystal Palace women's football team right now are going through. So stop moaning. Stop moaning. Right. I haven't done my predictions. Does anyone know where my book is? Oh, there it is. I need to do the FA Cup predictions. And one is already started. Okay, it's Aston Villa versus Cardiff. We've just played Aston Villa. It's Asensio and McGinn playing for Aston Villa. And let's have a look at the lineups, and then I'll do my prediction quickly. It's still 0-0, 3 minutes in. McGinn, Tillemans has started for Unai Emery for the last 5 matches, including my Crystal Palace. And Asensio has started. Against Crystal Palace, Asensio didn't start. And now he's put him on the bench. On there. And he started with Rashford. That's got to be the strongest lineup there for Aston Villa. And with all due respect to the Bluebirds, literally the transfer fee, the wage bill for Marcus Rashford will probably buy all of the players in the Bluebirds squad, let alone the first 11. So I'm going for Aston Villa 2, Cardiff City 1. Thank you everyone for in the chat to being patient. And so FA Cup 5th round. FA Cup 5th round, and it is my prediction is Aston Villa. I'm going for Villa 2-0. No, actually, I'm going to change that to 3-0. I mean, they've got their best squad out now today. They have got a lot of defensive injuries, Villa. Hence why they probably one of the main reasons Not the main reason. Crystal Palace outplayed them out of the park, but they've got a lot of defensive players that are injured. And Cardiff City. City. There, I've done that prediction, so at least we can let that go. I'll come back to the match in a minute. Right, quickly on the chat. Oh, I missed your chat there, Paul Brady. Sorry. Manchester United have been What? Oh, I better read it. What? Oh, so there's rumour about Manchester United and Victor Osimhen. Victor Osimhen has been linked with so many clubs. He's not leaving anywhere, this one. But yeah, okay. Chelsea's a plan. Suspect Osimhen is his own. Won't necessarily transform. Strap direction. I don't know. I don't know about Osimhen that much, but I do know that if Chelsea would have signed him 2 seasons ago, they wouldn't be where they are now. They would have been in the Champions League right now. Thank you very much, Henry Smith. I appreciate that. So there you go. Laura Kaminski has inspired me to do a reaction live, which is a bit fiddly because you have to keep your emotions in. You have to be careful what you say to a certain extent. And respectfully, that's what I mean. Because it's an ongoing situation. There's a lot of people upset at Crystal Palace, and a lot of them have a match to do on Sunday at 2 p.m. against Liverpool, and they're a very good. They have a very good players over there, so it's going to be a tough match. And on top of that, what's happened today? Who's in goal for Villa? I don't know. Let's have a look. I did my 3-0 on the because I did my research obviously before they played Crystal Palace, and I noticed that McGinn and Tielemans have been in the pivot in the midfield for Aston Villa for Unai Emery for the last 6 matches before they came to Selhurst Park, and we beat them 4-1. We do like a 4 goals against Villa, don't we, at Selhurst Park? Who's in goal? It's Martinez. So Martinez is back in goal. The World Cup winner, and Olisson is probably still arguing with Alison Pete in the car park over who's going to use the goal at half time. Did you see that, Henry Smith? It was trending because obviously he got subbed at half time. Martinez and Olisson. Olsen came on, but at half time they were doing the Crystal Palace mascots, where they have the young Aston Villa, sometimes 5 against Villa. Well, the last time that I was at Villa Park, maybe they don't like coming to Selhurst Park, but the last time I was at Villa Park, it was when Patrick Vieira was the manager. It was one of his last jobs, matches as a Crystal Palace manager. And I remember Wilfried Zaha scoring within the first 5 minutes, but it was ruled offside. And then after that, the team was just all over the shop. And it was just past that time when that situation with Sean Derry occurred. Anyway, and but I remember the way we lost that day at Villa Park, and that was my birthday as well. I said to myself, you know what, this ain't my Palace. And within 2 days or 3 days, Patrick Vieira was gone. I was like, oh no, did I jinx it? It's absolute sins, absolute madness. Aston Villa versus Cardiff City, still 0-0. And if you're new to the channel, please hit a like and subscribe at Diego C. Palace. This has gone from a response to Laura Kaminski, no longer the Crystal Palace manager. My reaction to it, I'm now doing the watch along, but I'm going to keep an eye on the Aston Villa Cardiff City. But what I'm going to do while I'm live, I'm going to do my predictions for the FA Cup, because I haven't done them. Well, I would have done it had the news not broken earlier on, and I was just like, oh my days. Please hit a like and subscribe. Let me just reply to this message. There we go. Right, it is what it is. Please keep hitting the likes and subscribe at Diego Palace if you are new. I should really stop the stream and then start another one for the football and the FA Cup, but oh, change the okay, that's fine. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe at Diego Palace. And I'm going to quickly do my predictions for the FA Cup fixtures. This is today, so this is Friday, and then tomorrow is Saturday, the 1st of March, obviously. All right, let's have a look at the fixtures tomorrow. It's still 0-0, 10 minutes in. Literally, one of the players, you can pick one of the players of Aston Villa, and one of them, the transfer fee will actually probably pay the entire, not just the first starting 11 for Cardiff City, but their entire lineup today, including the bench. And they're still 0-0. This is at Villa Park. All right, I'll go into it in a minute, but I'm just going to quickly do the fixtures. Just coming it right. So tomorrow there's two matches at 12:15, of course. So 12:15, 12:15. Palace. I'm going for Palace 3-0 now. I did yesterday say I had said Palace 3, Millwall 1, but I'm going to go for 3-0. Clean sheet. Who else has played? Preston North End. I've been to Preston North End. Preston North End. That's also a 12:15 kick. Burnley. Oh, is Preston North End in the Championship? I think they are. I know Burnley are because they're in the playoffs. Well, positions at the moment. I'm going to quickly find that. How do I find that out? What? What's going on here? Talking about my. All right, Sebit. Sebit, what's up with you? What? You just chill out, Sebit. Just chill. Sebit, just chill out, mate. Oh dear. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe at Diego Palace if you are new. Right, I was trying to find that before I was rudely interrupted there. If Preston North End are in the Championship, I think they are. My head's gone today now. Where's the tables? How do I? Okay, concentrate. There we are. Championship. Championship. Preston North End. Yes, they are. They've got 42 points, but they've lost a recent one. And they're above the Swans, the Swansea City. So they're not doing too bad. They're in the middle of the Championship. But Burnley are at the top. But Burnley, it depends on which one of them are trying to. I expect Burnley would want to save their players to get the 3 points in the next Championship fixture. I'm going to go for Preston North End 1, Burnley 2. That's my prediction there. Right, quickly, let's get onto it so then I can wrap this up. Yeah, there's not that many fixtures. Then Bournemouth. Wolves. Bournemouth is... that's a hard one. I'm going to go Bournemouth 2, Wolves 0. And then Manchester City. What time is that? That's at 3 p.m. Manchester City. Who are they playing? Oh, Plymouth Argyle, the ones that took out Liverpool. Liverpool fans, where are you? Oh my God, we got them on Sunday. Oh my God, my head hurts. I can't get past what's just happened today and what's going to happen tomorrow as well. It's just... Anyway, Manchester City. Manchester City, Plymouth Argyle. How do you spell? Oh. Plymouth Argyle. I'm going to go for... Yeah, I'm going to go for another 2-0. Manchester City 2, Plymouth Argyle 0. And then on Sunday, which will be the 2nd of March, at... Why is it at 13:45? That's Newcastle United versus Brighton. Newcastle United versus Brighton. And can you imagine Newcastle get to 2 cup finals? They're already in the League Cup final. Oh my days. Newcastle United 2, Brighton 1. No surprise there. I was predicting Brighton to lose, of course. And then last one. Oh no, it's not the last one. Manchester United, Fulham. Manchester United, Fulham. That's... I'm going to go 1-1 and then penalties for that one. And then what's the next one? Monday. What? Monday's the 3rd. Oh, yeah. Nottingham Forest. Ipswich Town. Oh. Ipswich Town. I'm going Nottingham Forest to win that. 3-1. Okay, so that's the FA Cup. I've done it. I've done it. I was supposed to do that earlier on, but then the news broke, and then it is that the rest is history, I suppose. Oh. I just shut all the screens down. Oh my days. I think you've upset. What happened? What happened, Paul Brady? I don't know, Paul Brady. I've gone past that. It's all right. It'll be fine. Yeah, no. If they put things that I'm not going to have. Whatever. It doesn't matter. But thank you for that, Paul Brady. There. it doesn't matter what it is. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe at Diego C Palace if you're new. Earlier on, I did, let me just quickly edit the, let me just put this here. So first, and then second. Oh, come on, what are you doing? And then second was my FA Cup, well, men's predictions, I suppose. Today, and FA Cup prediction. What round is it? Oh, it's the 5th round. FA Cup 5th round men's predictions. Right, let me just save that. Let me just check something. Where's the phone? Oh, God. I was going to do the watch along for the Aston Villa, but my head is gone after today. Right, let's have a look. Where are we? All right, let me just go into it again. Come on. Okay, that's not bad. Okay, that's fine. All right. I think I'm going to wrap it up then. It's I haven't got the energy to do the. They're still 0-0 anyway. Now, I'm going to stop it there. Right. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. As I say, I put in the description quickly. The first thing that I did was discuss a massive thank you to Laura Kaminski for everything that she's done at Crystal Palace. And then I just quickly done my predictions for the FA Cup 5th round in the men's FA Cup, of course. Oh, let me save that now. All right, thank you very much, everyone. Have a wonderful evening. I might come on later on. I should really do the rest of the Aston Villa because it's still running. But I need to go and get something to eat. No, I'm going to wrap it up. I know when my day's done. My best of thoughts to Laura Kaminski out there, to her coaching, to the coaching staff that she used to manage at Crystal Palace, to all the Crystal Palace women's football team and all their staff there. They're going through a difficult one today, Friday, the 28th of February, no doubt, and they're all doing their utmost to probably get prepared for the home fixture against Liverpool women's football team on Sunday. It's a 2 p.m. kickoff. Yeah, I hope they're all doing as best as they can today on a very difficult day at Crystal Palace. But Laura Kaminski, women's football needs you. So I can't wait to hear when it's announced that you are back as the manager of a football club. I know it's going to happen, so can't wait to hear that. But all the best to you and to all the Crystal Palace women football players out there. To the chat, thank you very much, Paul Brady, Semic, to Henry Smith, to Steve RFC, to Damo1168, also Scott Whibley. Thank you very much for dropping in as well. I'll catch you up on the next one. Please leave your notification bell on and stay safe and have a good evening. Take care. Goodbye.